I've been mulling over this for roughly a fortnight, debating whether to share it at all. But I can't stop looping in my thoughts, and I need input from strangers who aren't involved. We've been a couple for 2 years, cohabiting for 14 months in my place. And yes, I refer to it as mine because that's the reality. My signature on the rental agreement, my furnishings, my security deposit. He relocated here after around 10 months of our relationship since his housemate's setup collapsed, and he required a spot to crash while sorting his life. It was meant to be short-term. I realize how this appears already. I can picture the replies pouring in, but when you're immersed, your view differs from outsiders. Brandon wasn't an evident failure when we connected. He organized proper outings. He appeared to have his act together despite some temporary bumps. The financial issues crept in gradually. Initially, he fell short on his share of the rent due to vehicle issues. Then food shopping turned mostly into my responsibility because his work shifts decreased. Next, I handled bills and his mobile payments since he was jobless temporarily, and what else could I do? Allow his service to be disconnected. Each incident separately felt like aiding my significant other during a tough period. My folks endured difficulties in my childhood and overcame them by backing one another. I believe that's the norm. Now let me introduce Kylie, as she's key. Kylie has been Brandon's closest pal from secondary school. She attended the barbecue where we encountered via shared acquaintances. She's the type who ensures you're aware of her long-standing bond with your partner. Every anecdote from his history includes her in some manner, every private quip, every recollection you missed. I made genuine efforts with her, extended invitations to events, proposed collective outings. Never once suggested Brandon avoid her, as I'm not that possessive type. I won't become the doubtful, envious sort who can't accept her guy having platonic female buddies. Roughly 2 months back, Brandon began acting altered. Not dramatically evident, but in numerous minor ways that accumulated. He abruptly became enthusiastic about exercising, which okay, no issue. But he'd never shown interest prior, and now it was 4 or 5 sessions weekly, occasionally at odd times. He'd exit the space for calls. He was irritable with me for no reason. I'd inquire about meal preferences and he'd react as if I were grilling him. I repeatedly assured myself I was overthinking. Relationships have stages, correct? This was merely a difficult phase. So about 3 weeks prior, I departed my job prematurely due to a headache and simply needed to rest at home. Brandon wasn't expected there. He'd mentioned assisting his friend Sean with a task. I entered via the rear since I typically park in the lane behind our complex and planned to collapse on the sofa in darkness. But upon entering the kitchen, I heard Brandon's voice from the lounge. He was conversing on the phone, chuckling about something, and I nearly entered to greet him, but an instinct halted me, unsure why. Perhaps gut feeling or such, but I lingered in the kitchen entrance eavesdropping, and I caught him mentioning my name, not positively. He was informing the listener that I was irritating him immensely, that I constantly probed, that I couldn't grant him space briefly. Then he chuckled once more and said something like, "No concerns, honey, I'm managing it, honey." He doesn't address me as honey. He's never used honey for me. I remained immobilized, attempting to comprehend the words. He continued, discussing needing several more months to organize his affairs, and then he could depart, stating he lingered solely for the convenience, claiming I was naive enough to accept any fabrication. Then he uttered it, the phrase haunting me relentlessly. He said he eagerly anticipated ending things with my overweight self and locating someone truly valuable. He chuckled while stating it. I don't recall choosing to enter the lounge. I simply did, and Brandon's expression upon spotting me, realizing I'd overheard, I wish I could convey it. A brief panic before he adjusted to neutrality. He informed the caller he must end the call, disconnected swiftly, then attempted normalcy, inquired why I returned early. Claimed the conversation was merely with Sean. They were bantering. I likely misinterpreted what I believed I heard. I questioned who Honey was. I questioned why he discussed terminating our relationship. I questioned the situation. And here's where you must grasp that Brandon excels at smooth-talking escapes. It's his talent. Causing you to feel irrational for doubting, convincing you of misunderstanding, twisting events to your blame somehow. He began explaining how I misinterpreted contexts. that he and Sean tease that way routinely. That males utter foolish remarks during rants without meaning. He claimed I was overreacting again, that this exemplified what he discussed on the call. That I perpetually sought issues non-existent. I demanded he redial Sean immediately, on speaker for me to hear their jesting about discarding me. Brandon fell silent. I stated I wasn't foolish. I stated I heard honey. I stated I heard him discuss escaping and seeking someone worthwhile. I directly asked if he was involved with another. He rejected it, naturally, claimed I hallucinated. Jumping to conclusions, but his tone shifted, less polished, as if options dwindled. I seized his phone from the side table where he'd placed it. He pounced instantly. Which frankly revealed all, but I was quicker. I navigated to messages directly. And there it was, topmost. Kylie, labeling me gullible and pitiful, grumbling about feigning concern for me. Her replying with amusement icons and stating he merited superior. And images. Images I'll skip detailing to avoid nausea, but you can imagine. Brandon shouted for his phone's return. Claiming no entitlement, accusing privacy breach. I persisted scrolling, absorbing message upon message of their ridicule, mocking confidences I shared, giggling about my manipulability. I hurled his phone back, then demanded he exit my residence. And this is where Brandon morphed into an unrecognizable figure. He commenced bellowing, labeling me deranged for inspecting his device. Claiming I was obsessive and domineering, claiming this justified his intolerance and I'd validated all he confided to Kylie about me. I attempted composure. Truly, I stated he couldn't reverse this. That I'd witnessed all, that I knew of him and Kylie, that he'd accepted my funds, shared my bed, professed love while secretly mocking. He avoided addressing any. Merely persisted ranting about my privacy violation, how sane individuals avoid such actions, how I was mentally unwell. He snatched my computer from the surface, not his, mine, and smashed it against the barrier. The display shattered and darkened completely. Then he began gathering items. I observed him cram a tire into trash sacks since he lacked suitcases. 2 years paired and this guy's possessions fit 3 sacks. Throughout packing, he continued about my future regrets, how he'd inform all of my deeds, how Kylie was accurate about me throughout. His final words before departing were that I underestimated his capabilities. Then he vanished. For roughly an hour, I sat in my space gazing blankly. The individual I'd sustained over a year. The one I'd justified to all. The one I envisioned wedding. He'd cheated with his closest friend while deeming me overweight and gullible enough for any tale. That evening, I messaged him suggesting calm discussion. No reply. I phoned, answering machine, retried next dawn, nothing. Then I spotted it on social media, Brandon and Kylie. Presumably at her place, him lounging with arm encircling her, her pecking his face, description like at last in my rightful spot with a heart. I dialed him perhaps 20 consecutive times. Dispatched regrettable texts. I was unraveling and aware but unstoppable. 2 years, 14 months funding all, and he posted duo images with Kylie under 24 hours later. He eventually replied via text solely to warn cessation or he'd seek protection order. Days later, I checked our shared banking. Established 7 months prior for mutual costs, which retrospectively was me funding while he added negligible. I intended closure. It was depleted. He'd extracted all. Over $4,000 nearly wholly mine. Vanished. I contacted the institution. They verified the transaction post-departure. No recourse as his name appeared, legally permissible despite virtual theft. I attempted contacting him regarding funds. Silence. Attempted Kylie. Obstructed universally. And that's when Brandon's mother Janice joined the scene. Janice and I always meshed. She repeatedly expressed joy Brandon found stability, dubbed me prospective kin once, included me in all kin events. About a week post-incident, Janice phoned. She apologized profusely. Stated she'd viewed the social posts and was appalled. Stated Brandon contacted her casually days earlier and she was clueless he'd departed or paired with Kylie. I disclosed all, the overheard call. The texts, the cash, it all spilled. She stated she'd consult Brandon's father Ronald and they'd address it. That Brandon would encounter repercussions, unsure what implied. Unsure if sincere or placating. But here's my current status, 3 weeks post-event. Brandon remains with Kylie, still sharing duo content as if no 2-year bond demolished. My computer ruined. Savings depleted, reciting amid reminders of unloving someone. No solid update from Janice since initial contact, but she mentioned needing time to plan with Ronald, unsure what anticipates. Brandon's 24, yet what can parents truly enforce? If advice on cash recovery exists, I'm listening. Minor disputes court appears complex and unsure of evidence sufficiency with his account access. My mother advises release and progress, but $4,000 isn't trivial to forfeit. Anyhow, that's the situation. 2 years wasted on a guy mocking me constantly with a female he claimed platonic. I'll report if Janice and Ronald act, but expectations low. Update. All right, I didn't anticipate my prior entry exploding that way. I've attempted replying to feedback, but it's overwhelming. First, addressing comment points. Many advised ceasing Brandon and Kylie's social monitoring. Yes, that's sensible, but harder practiced when mentally shattered and self-tormenting. I've improved, though. Unfollowed both and restricted profiles requiring deliberate searches. Also, query on why not evict Brandon earlier sans rent. Honestly, retrospectively, no solid rationale. I suppose I trusted improvement. He perpetually excused. When affectionate, you accommodate. You deem temporary. You persuade yourself support defines good partnership. Not claiming correctness, just explaining arrival. Okay, the development. Recalled Janice's call promising Ronald consultation on resolution. I doubted substantial outcome. Brandon is 24 and what parental authority? Discipline him. But I misjudged their commitment. 4 days post-original, Janice texted requesting visit to their home for discussion. She said Ronald desired presence and they had matters to cover with me. I nearly declined as pointless, but my friend Sarah persuaded attendance. She said minimally perhaps aid fund recovery or force Brandon's responsibility. So I traveled to Janice and Ronald's residence. They reside 40 minutes beyond city in pleasant neighborhood with spacious lawns and flags per home. I'd visited dozen times over 2 years with Brandon. Festive meals, outdoor grills, Ronald's celebration last year. Approaching that entrance felt bizarre post-events. Janice opened pre-knock. Ronald occupied his armchair in the den and rose upon my entry, unprecedented. An odd stiffness permeated, making me anxious. We seated and Janice recommenced apologies. She reiterated sorrow, unaware Brandon capable. Ronald, initially quiet, merely sat with restrained expression. Then Janice revealed they'd challenged Brandon, and this intrigues. Evidently, they visited Kylie's flat 2 days post her initial call to me, unannounced. And Brandon feigned normalcy, as if departing me and instantly cohabiting Kylie was routine, insignificant. Janice said she directly queried the texts I'd discovered, those deeming me gullible and overweight and exploiting for funds. And Brandon reacted furiously at them crediting me over him. He informed his parents I amplified, misconstrued, aimed to alienate kin since unable accepting progression. Ronald interjected. He demanded Brandon display texts personally if I falsified. And Brandon declined, claimed irrelevant and no defense obligation against Mad Former's claims. Janice said during Kylie's visit she observed something. Brandon's belongings weren't freshly placed. Attire in Kylie's wardrobe, toothbrush in her washroom, their photos on her cooler seeming long-standing. Janice queried Brandon outright on actual duration with Kylie. And he fabricated, claimed post-departure only, no prior occurrence, Kylie merely supportive friend amid hardship. Kylie present evidently. And Janice noted her expression shift upon Brandon's claim, as if unanticipated continued deception publicly. So Janice executed something I truly admire. She addressed Kylie identically, inquiring true timeline, and Kylie, perhaps surprised or weary of deceit, confessed. She admitted physical involvement 4 months, amid Brandon's cohabitation with me, amid fund acceptance and bed sharing and love declarations. 4 months of infidelity and deception, and inducing my sanity doubts. I sat in Janice's den and momentarily breath halted. 4 months, exceeding suspicions. Meaning commencement near gym obsession, those evening sessions, those alleged Sean visits, those immediate post-arrival showers. All clarified. Janice said Brandon erupted upon Kylie's revelation. He bellowed at her for betrayal, story abandonment, parental humiliation. Kylie defended, weary of falsehoods, pointless now openly paired. And then Brandon uttered something Janice relayed, still digesting. He informed Kylie this avoidable, if silent, entire scheme to provoke my breakup, avoiding villain role, Kylie background till I concluded, then drama-free union. The entire scheme. Not mere Brandon's trash behavior infatuating another. He intended discovery, intended my departure for victim portrayal and feigning my initiation. I queried Janice's certainty, she affirmed. Ronald corroborated. He said Brandon persisted on scheme success if Kylie patient, me less prying, parents uninvolved. I can't convey sensing beloved plotted sabotage while posing partner. Ronald informed me post-outburst at Kylie's. He issued ultimatum. Either Brandon reimburses joint account extraction, sincerely apologizes, owns actions, or Ronald and Janice sever ties fully. No further aid, no kin gatherings, no familial inclusion till rectification. I didn't foresee such intensity. Brandon their sole offspring. But Ronald stated he didn't nurture a fraudster, nor one treating women despicably then victimizing. He said if Brandon preferred family absence, he'd experience authenticity. Brandon reportedly mocked, deemed overdramatic, they'd relent weeks later as always. He said Ronald and Janice previously threatened severance unsuccessfully. That's when Ronald mentioned the communal lavatories. Context: Ronald operates modest firm handling upkeep for business properties, corporate areas, shopping strips similar. A contract involves public garden and civic hub, including sanitizing washrooms. Literally firm's worst task, requiring premium pay for volunteers. Ronald informed Brandon that for future kin ties, holiday welcomes, monetary assistance, he'd perform that lavatory sanitizing role till earning triple stolen sum. Triple, over $12,000. At minimal wage rate, months of lavatory scrubbing. Brandon reportedly disputed, deemed degrading, refused self-humiliation over funds half his. Ronald granted 1 week decision or proposal void, consider disinheritance. 1 week. I'm composing this now. Brandon has 3 days remaining. Now advice needed as truly undecided. Heart desires any reimbursement possible. Funds mine, deserved return. Genuinely useful as computer damaged, savings exhausted, constant fiscal worry. But another rejects Brandon purchasing escape via parental scheme. Like months lavatory work and repayment equals absolution. Lesson learned? Doubt sanitizing alters character. Suspect minimal compliance for kin restoration, then resuming manipulative folly. Also query if he'll comply. Brandon perpetually indolent and privileged, voluntary extended labor improbable. Kylie earns adequately reportedly. Perhaps he plans her support substitution. Swap residences. I ponder Kylie's perspective amid this. 4 months with aware exploiter. Observed parental deception on relation. Heard admission she silent till discard, yet persists. Thinks exceptional, won't replicate. Sarah suggests accept funds, then sever Brandon and kin entirely. Claims interaction prolongs entrapment. Possibly accurate but complex as Janice genuinely supportive, awkward abrupt silence post-assistance. My mother differs. Thinks Ronald and Janice act from offspring embarrassment and reputation salvage. Claims lavatory penalty punishes their humiliation over my restitution. Perhaps valid but motive irrelevant if outcome identical. Also, if Brandon rejects, parents enforce disownment implications for me, funds forfeited, court pursuit necessary. Commenter noted likely judgment win, but enforcement challenge, especially unemployed Kylie dependent. Regarding kin turmoil, extended family repercussions. Janice shared with sibling who spread, now half discussing. Brandon's relative Ethan texted condemnation, Brandon blocked. His grandma distraught assuming Brandon stabilizing with me. Detest becoming gossip for Brandon's kin from gatherings knowing humiliating details. But can't fault Janice disclosure as Brandon merits truthful reputation. One additional before conclusion. Brandon texted 2 days prior. First since warning against persistent contact or order pursuit. Text claimed parents deranged, my fault for involvement. Accused family poisoning, eternal unforgiveness. Said regret enemy creation and Kylie surpassed my womanhood. I abstained response. Desired. Drafted 15 variants calm to deranged. But unsent as pointless. No sudden epiphany. No remorse. Perpetual external blame till demise likely. But screenshotted and forwarded Janice as threat warrants parental awareness. Update post-deadline. Either accepts debt labor, navigate exparent payments, or rejects disownment, court consideration. Regardless, he won't triumph, not the gullible stand-in he presumed. I'll endure, emerge resilient, eventually discover deserving match. Final update. Okay, you've inundated queries on outcome, honestly delayed composition as typing reignites agitation. But here's the conclusion to this total catastrophe. So Brandon's time frame elapsed, and unsurprisingly, he told parents to shove it. Said no self-debasement, sanitizing lavatories over funds half his. Ronald said fine. Skip Thanksgiving, Christmas, visits till adult behavior. Janice supported despite heartache. Brandon's reply Instagram tirade on poisonous kin bonds and blood not equal to devotion. Standard victim stance. Informed parties recognized reference. I assumed closure. Choice made. Kin severed. Funds likely lost. Began accepting $4,000 as lesson cost on Brandon's essence. Then 5 days back, Brandon appeared at my residence. Unanticipated. Literally lounging in loungewear, consuming remnants when knocks sounded. Peephole revealed him, glancing nervously. He commenced speaking promptly. Needed clarification. I never permitted. All portraying him monstrous sans true comprehension. I granted 5 minutes pre-authorities. He proceeded on Kylie affair misperceived. Yes, conversing but venting, stress relief. Never intended insults. Kylie propelled escalation. Urged departure. Convinced obstruction. I queried if genuinely blaming Kylie for his statements. For gullible overweight labels. For exploitation admission. For months mockery. His expression, irritated, as if deliberate obstruction. Said misconstrued. Pairs vent to pals routinely. Private texts universally contain context-lacking negativity. Said core issue my privacy invasion, then parental tattling versus direct dialogue. I reminded attempted dialogue. He bellowed, smashed my computer, exited. His dialogue called me obsessive threatener. He claimed provocation, hysteria unmanaged, calmness perhaps resolvable. Insanity hearing betrayer real-time revised narrative. Each phrase aimed doubt of witnessed. Suggest overreaction, my culpability, but I'm evolved. Demanded exit, declined participation. Refused gaslighting fault assignment. His decisions, his words, his theft. Now destitute, desperate at my threshold, seeking what? Pardon, retry, alternate leech. He commenced shouting life ruination. Parental silence my doing. Kylie eviction from associated chaos intolerance. I stated Kylie evicted realizing payment expectation mirroring me. Perhaps issue not every female, perhaps him. He claimed ignorance. Him and Kylie stable till family meddling. Workable till Janice contacted Kylie detailing, portraying fraudster. I laughed outright, inquired self-injury. Even post-loss responsibility evasion. My fault, Kylie's, parents, all except 4-month cheater, liar, thief. He insulted me. Predicted solitary death as no male desires frigid vengeful like me. Said Kylie accurate throughout. Pitiful gullible should have departed earlier. I demanded exit pre-police. Phone poised, he departed. 5 days prior, constant vigilance since. Not fearing action but departure gaze unprecedented. Sheer loathing, as if adversarial, as if conflict. I'd prevailed, eternal grudge. 2 days post, Janice texted, heard Brandon visited. I rejected hearing, expelled, sought my welfare. I relayed truth. Uninvited arrival, 20 minutes fault assignment pre-threat exit. She said Ronald enraged learning visitation. Considering escalation measures if continued. Then revealed Brandon accepted lavatory role. Evidently fortnight homelessness, penniless isolation shattered remaining arrogance. Contacted Ronald yesterday accepting if housing provided. Ronald initiating this week. Daily 5 and public park lavatory sanitizing. Earnings toward triple debt till achieved. I'm relishing. Janice queried progress updates desire. Affirmed, all details, photos if possible, every complaint, quit attempts, everything. She chuckled slightly, promised updates. That park 20 minutes distant. Researched already. Hub opens 6 a.m., pre-cleaning required. Thus if early awaken and stroll vicinity 5:30 a.m. possible encounter. If phone prepared filming X in custodian garb don lavatory scrubbing, well, pals seek updates. Chat would erupt. Caption mentally drafted. Janice noted Brandon perpetual complaints on my life ruination via family. Quiet breakup avoidance all. Excellent. Desire my recollection each forum alarm. My mention amid lavatory immersion.